Everybody, it's Friday, July 18th. We're going to be reviewing agendas for Wednesday, July 23rd. Looks like we have a Board of County Commission agenda, and then we have a Fire District 1 agenda. So, Tom, take it away.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Commission. Nicole, let's start off with new business, and then we have it's a fairly light agenda for next Wednesday.
Good morning. For county good news and announcements, I want to remind the public that the health department still has mosquito dunks. Those are basically little donuts that you can throw in water that helps prevent mosquitoes. So those are offered free. So we'll talk about that. We will also remind you that the public meeting for the budget, the public hearing is on July 30th at 6 p.m. here at the Ruffin Building. We also have the online forum where folks can go and give feedback on the budget, the recommended budget now. Early in-person voting starts next week, and then the sheriff's office will be here to talk about their fund run, and they will also be sharing county good news at that time. And that's all I have.
Okay. We have a single proclamation. Julie's online here, but there's a National Emergency Management Awareness Month proclamation that we will start the meeting off with. Then we have a series of appointments. B and C are District 4 appointments to, there's a resignation and a reappointment to the Commissioner Beatty's advisory board. D, E, F, and G are all Chris Labrum, MABCD appointments. D is an electrical appeal board, as is E, both electrical board appointments. F is the mechanical board and a series of people appointed there. And G is for the Board of Code of Standards Appeal, BCSA, and I'm sure Justin will somehow combine them all together. So a number of appointments for building and construction. We have one new business item currently. We do want to talk at the end that there may be need for an off agenda, but the new business item is bid board. There were 3 items on the board. One was on-call roofing. One was architecture and engineering services for EMS Post 1. This is a redo. We had this a month or 2 ago. Staff had inadvertently thrown in an extra bay there. This is the architectural design without that bay. So that's back, and it's a little cheaper than it was. And then 3 is the parking garage elevator service maintenance agreement. That's the only new business for now. And Justin and I will talk about a potential off agenda item after I'm through with consent. Any questions?
Yeah, I want to just Rusty on that EMS post. Initially saw 3 bays, back down to 2. Is the recommendation now to go with 2? Is that the recommendation?
That was the will and recommendation of the people.
The people being the 5 folks sitting up here.
Commissioners, and the directive that we had, and that's what that's what legal and facilities and I sat down and worked out.
Okay.
Went back to bid board for.
Okay.
All right, peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Is this a similar design to what we did on the North Web?
Yeah.
This is still a $70,000 engineering contract, roughly.
Correct.
Yeah.
I guess I'm surprised if it's a similar building, why that level of cost is needed for that.
Tanya would have the history on that. She's not here today, but let me do some comparison work on it, and I'll get back with all of you. I'll just send you an email on why that is the way it is.
And Tom, I guess either you or Joe, I don't know if I need to talk to necessarily, or Tanya, whoever. I just have a couple questions on how the on-call roofing agreements are supposed to work. Because there's 4 companies there, but they're vastly different on these bids. I'm just wondering, they're so different than each other. There may be advantages to using one or the other in different circumstances, but it's just surprising me how different they are on these bids.
All right, let me have Joe or Tanya or Andrew give you more information on that. I'd read through and just perused it. I didn't notice the vast difference of that, but let me get you some more information.
Sir,
Joe.
Andrew is on Zoom.
Oh, who is?
Andrew Diltz.
Oh, Andrew, did you hear Commissioner Howell's question?
Yes, I did. And to address EMS post, so there are a lot of similarities, right? Where you're modeling after EMS post 15. However, the entire floor plan has to be redrawn specific to the site that we are placing this new post on. We also have code updates. I believe we've gone through a couple code changes since EMS post 15 was created. So there are some areas that we are able to save some money by modeling after EMS post 15, but it has to be redrawn per the site. And so we still have the expense of the architectural and engineering fees. And after rebidding it, there are some architects and engineers raised their cost the second round. Some of them went less, and some of them stayed the same. So it was really across the board. And the architect and engineering firm that we're recommending actually reduced their cost based on the second bid. So our recommendation is to approve them and move forward with that. And then
This
as
is-
far as oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just as a reminder, I'd like to know what's the square footage of this building and what's the construction cost estimated to be at this point? Now, if we can have those two numbers, that'd be great.
Sandy, do you have that?
We can get that via
What-
email if you want to follow up with that.
Yep. I'd be taking a shot in the dark right now on what it would be, but we can certainly get that over to you, Commissioner Howell.
Thank you so much.
And then as far as the roofs go, we've previously had, last year we had 3 on-call roofing companies. This year we'll have 4. And I understand there's a difference in cost between the 4 of them. What it allows us to do is if there's a weather event of some kind and roofing companies are dispersed across the county, having multiple vendors available will allow us to try to get an immediate response in an emergency situation because we have multiple parties we can call. And then in addition to that, there are times when we're chasing down a roof leak and we'll have a roofing contractor come out and they'll try their hand at it and they'll make repairs and it doesn't get we don't get the leak fixed. And so we'll call it a second company and get a second set of eyes on it. So it allows us a better service in the end, having multiple parties on board. And I understand there's a difference in cost, and we try to utilize the vendors that have the cheaper cost to get the job done as efficiently as possible.
If I may, can you hear me now? This is
Yeah.
Sandy.
Yeah. Hi, Sandy.
My apologies. I was talking and I didn't realize my speaker was not on. My microphone was not on. That building for EMS Post 1, going back to that, it'll be approximately 3,000 square feet, just like EMS Post 15.
Do you know the construction cost estimate?
This go around?
Yes, on one.
Okay. Again, we based these numbers on Post 15 it was built in 2019, so the estimates came from about 2019 and construction was about 1.3 million.
And that's the cost of the new building.
I think, Sandy, you're saying that that's your estimate for what the new building will be too then?
Yes, as far as we know, yes, that's our best guess would be that we're going to be able to build within that range.
The budget
So-
on that, Rusty? I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
So I just want to mention that right now, what we're doing is we're hiring an architect and engineer who's going to design this, and then we're going to put it out to bid. So the estimates that Sandy is relaying to you is simply a staff estimate based on EMS Post 15 and allowing for some inflation since then. We don't have a hard number yet until we go out to bid.
Andrew, what's the budget on it? What do we have designated for that?
I believe we're just shy of 2 million.
That is correct.
Going back to Post 15. I guess maybe this all happened and I'm not remembering it, but I thought that building design was something we received essentially as like a pre-engineered. And it wasn't like a kit building. I'm simply saying it was like a design we received. If we didn't spend time designing something, that process was streamlined because we essentially picked a design that was already, what we needed, I guess. I don't know exactly how that process worked at this point, but we're talking about roughly 5% of the cost of this project is engineering on a design that we've already basically used before. It's just a little surprising. It's that level of, I know these are cheaper bids because we reduced one bay. I get that, but it's still 5%. Just seems like it's a bit much in terms of the project size. Maybe I need to get used to that, but I'm just a little surprised by that number. That's all.
Andrew, the project on Webb Road, post 15, the materials used, there was an architect used in that, on that project as well, correct? In spite of the fact that it was a
Yes,
mostly partially pre-manufacturer, we used an architect to draw and engineer that.
that
Yeah.
is correct.
So it was a pre-engineered building, and Sandy can correct me if I'm wrong on this because she was the project manager on that one as well. But the pre-engineered building is basically you have some structural drawings that are already pre-approved, and so you're kind of packaging these rooms and these I-beams and these columns together. So you're saving some money potentially on a structural engineer not having to design the building for our site because you kind of have this component you can package together these components that are already pre-engineered and will work. So I believe there is some savings there with that, but you still have the design of where the HVAC is going to go, how you're going to build out the interior walls, the lighting, all of that still has to be put into place and code compliant to our local codes.
We would have had those costs before then. What you're saying, in the post 15, we would have had the same engineering need to do that type of work for the project, right? I think again, might be misremembering, but I think that building was a two-bay station, and I believe it was around 800,000 for that construction portion, not counting the land purchase and stuff. So to go $500,000 more, talking about 6 years later, that's a lot. That's a lot of growth. And maybe maybe I just need to realize that's the way the world has changed, but it just seems like a lot more expensive. And then have this level of cost for engineering. And again, use the word pre-engineered building. I think every pre-engineered building is going to have some of that, some of that customization for things like where's HVAC going to go. I don't know if that's $70,000 cost for that, but that's just, I just need to get familiar with it. It sounds like. But
Your recollection is correct. Philosophically, we made a shift somewhere in the 2015 to 2018 time period that we were going to EMS posts are different than fire stations. The fire stations are where they live there, basically. They're sleeping there. The EMS posts are, these are 12-hour shifts. So that it's a bay to put ambulances in and an office space and a break space for EMS people. They're different. So we made a decision to buy as much pre-design and to change the materials going into these buildings to save money, because even when we built the post on Webb Road, that was much cheaper than the post that had been built before. And we're always looking for ways to streamline this. And we don't build very many posts, obviously, but trying to streamline how this is architected, how it is built, and the materials used, because it's different than it was always compared to fire stations. It's not the same. So I hear you, Commissioner. I will continue to look for ways to streamline and be efficient on these builds, particularly where we have cookie cutter types of facilities that go out, EMS posts, for example, to where we can try to save money as best as possible going forward.
And again, maybe I'm just not understanding something here, but it seems like the design we used on that Webb Road, I don't know why you couldn't use the entire design as is. I mean, it was a good building and it does a great job.
15.
Yeah, 15,
Yeah.
just say we're going to duplicate that building.
Yeah.
And again, I'm surprised we don't just, I guess, settle on a design and use it multiple times.
Andrew, I'll let you go here, but it's a different footprint on where we're building up in Indian Hills than it is on Webb Road. And Andrew, you want to talk about that or anything to say there?
Yeah, it is a different footprint. So it has to be, you got to make the setback and the easements and the restrictions that are on the land. You've got to look at the elevations and design the building so that it's not going to flood. If it's in a low spot, you have to build it up. You have to put in the drive approaches. And then going back to the code compliance, we've gone through, it'll be 8 years between, the post 15 was finished in 2018. We're looking to try to get construction started in 2026. So we're looking at 8 years difference. We have COVID in there where we were seeing prices increase, anywhere from 40 to 50% in a given year on construction. So our costs, we're estimating our costs to go up. the bid before you for architectural and engineering services today is the low bid. We have ranges all the way up to $165,000. So I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Howell, and we can go back to the architects and try to ask some more questions on this. But I believe there's all the architects across the board they have to redesign per the site and per the code compliance, and they've accounted for that in their pricing. So as far as just, the cookie cutter of being able to place it on a new site, I just don't think that's possible.
And again, I think I understand the code compliance. That may be some stuff internal to the building, but you're talking about the engineering is primarily essentially the site prep, if you will. The elevation and drainage is not necessarily inside the building. It's the driveways and the setbacks and the grade and all that stuff. I understand that. That's all site work. It's not necessarily the building itself. So I see the point you're making, and that you're not going to be able to. Those things will be unique to every site. Every site's somewhat different because it's got different, access situation perhaps and different drainage issues. I get that, but the building itself could essentially be duplicated. So my point is, I like to minimize the customization and changing things for no real good reason, if you will, to simply save cost. I think we have a design that works, and it's a beautiful building. It meets all the needs. I like to make a few changes as possible and just duplicate that as much as we possibly can. And also, of course, comply with any code changes, of course, but and again, if they, I don't know how to judge this. These folks have bid on this, and again, this is the lowest bid, and I appreciate that. I don't know how much work this is, but for 70,000, let's just say if they spend, a lot of hours and they get kind of a market rate hour, per hour charge, that makes sense. But on the other hand, if this is a fairly easy job and they don't spend a lot of time on this, maybe that's not, I guess maybe a challenge would be reasonable. So I just want to just caution us to I guess to think of it this way. Is it reasonable to see how much work they're doing for that much cost? Does that really make sense? I don't mind going to have to rebid this if we have to.
Well,
maybe different vendors again or something. I don't know.
I will add that it's more than just designing this and walking away. They design the blueprints, they go through plan review with MABCD, they make adjustments, and they help us with the bidding process. They help us answer questions with the contractors throughout the bidding process. And then once construction starts, they're on site doing walkthroughs and checking with the contractor to make sure there's any substitute requests for building products. They're building the project as per the plans and per the design. So they're going to be with us for, I'm going to say anywhere from the next 2 to 3 years, they're going to be on this project, and they're charging us that fee that's in front of you today. So it's not just, the next 2 or 3 months and then they're out the door. They're going to be with us through the end.
Thanks for answering all my questions. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Andrew. Anything else? Okay, then we move to the consent agenda. Items A and item consent item I, J, are both easements. Item I is a right-of-way easement and a temporary construction easement. This is seems like it's our weekly Ridge Road easement. The Ridge Road project between 69th and 85th. Item J is 3 contemporary construction easements, 2 right-of-way easements for 55th South between Hoover and Meridian. Item K, Scott is on Zoom. This is a little bit different. It's a vacation request in the county to vacate a pipeline easement. And it's associated with a building construction, and it's in a unique zoning situation. So Scott, can you talk through item K with the commission, just high level?
Yes, sir. The high level on this one is that the pipeline is actually not being used. And so the property owners here, the property was encumbered with this. And so since the pipeline is not being used, they want to go ahead and do away with that easement. And the pipeline company was in agreement with it.
Simple. Okay. No questions, Scott. Okay, thanks. Item L is the creation of a CUP and zone change from rural residential to GC at 45th and North Greenwich. Any questions on that while we have Scott's mic on? Seeing none. Item M is, and three of you we've talked to, we have chairman and another commissioner talked to yet on this, but we're briefing you. This is the grant policy submission. I think I might have told some of you it was on August 1. It actually is next week. So this is the grant policy we discussed. Michelle is here if there are questions on that. We haven't briefed two of you yet. We're briefing you next. But it's an upgraded grant policy that has been recommended to us by our auditor. So we're trying to maintain best practice with this. So this is on item M on the consent agenda, and it's on consent for fire as well. Same policy. Any questions for Michelle? Okay. Item N is a HIDA grant. That stands for High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Special Assistant Prosecutor types of position. Mark Bennett's office historically has had a couple of these. This is the renewal of that. He has two positions that work in his office who are also sworn into United States Attorney's Office, and they work together on complex cases of a federal nature. It's historical. I'm going to have Tim talk about item O. This is a little bit loopy, and there's a lot of acronyms in here in the back of materials, a little bit complex. So let me have him talk through that.
Yes, sorry about all the acronyms. So this is typical to other aging services contracts. KDAD's contracts with one of the AAAs across the state. There are 11 as the lead contractor, and then that contractor, in this instance, it's Northwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging, is the lead contractor. And then they subcontract with the other 10 AAAs to have statewide coverage. So this is just an opportunity for us to bill for services under the administrative case management contract.
Okay. Item P is a renewal of vendor contracts for under the Senior Care Act, which was established by the state legislature. The 14 vendors are on page 202 of your backup. If you want to look through those, they provide a myriad of services to aging population. Joan sent you a note on item Q regarding the 988 operational grant. That's allows that operation to continue. It's a fiscal note of about 1.157, $1,157,124 coming from the state to fund that. And then item R and S are routine check register items. We have one issue that has come up just, I think, yesterday, and I'm going to go over to just on this, but it's regarding the NCAT new construction bill. There's some type of consideration that the commission is publicly going to have to give them to do some type of sewer hookup, I think.
That's correct, Tom. The commissioners, this item has come up fairly recently. It's part of what WSU is planning to do with some new work out at the NCAT facility. In order to connect to a sewer connection under the agreement that the county has on this, there's a requirement for approval by the Board of County Commissioners to indicate some approval on behalf of the county. The thought process from staff had been to, in limited circumstances like this, to have a resolution that would delegate some authority to your county engineer and your CFO, because they're both engineering aspects in these, where they come up in these situations, and financial considerations, to where these things can be approved more promptly by staff if there's comfort level from the board. So that's what our office is going to draft and plan, and there will plan to be a off agenda resolution on that. The reason we would want to add this as off agenda is this has come up very recently, and it's also, you don't have a county commission meeting for 2 weeks after your meeting next week, and this is a step that they need to complete before they begin construction. So we just wanted to get it in front of you as soon as we could.
Okay. And you're drafting resolution, and Lynn will review it and give us.
That's correct. It'll be reviewed by finance and
when we do off agenda items and motion to do that, we want to do it at the end of new business, or do we want to?
Your call, Chairman.
Okay,
I think this is such, it could be at the end.
Okay.
I think this, I'm sorry, Pete.
But to tie the new facilities into.
I'm going to let Lynn speak to that because I think he may be better suited to answer that.
as far as the sewer system, that is my understanding with the extension that's going to go on at NCAT. They're looking at tying those two together. And I believe there's going to be a single connection to the city of Wichita sewer line on Webb Road.
Probably be some future utility sharing decisions as well.
Yes,
I think there's.
that is a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions about that. I do have a question on item Q, whenever you're ready.
Everybody clear on the off agenda item, the potential off agenda item that's coming? You'll communicate with us, Justin, and okay. Thanks, Lynn. We might have some questions. Just give you a call. Okay, back to the queue.
Item Q, you talked about the 1.15 million. Is that the grant fund or is that our cost?
$1,157,000.
That's the grant that's being awarded.
Do we have a cost share on that?
Joan's on the line. I don't know. This does not cover the full cost of the 988 program, but it is a significant contribution from KDADS.
Hey, John.
Hi, good morning, commissioners. The grant covers our supervisor and our call specialists who answer the 988 lifeline.
So is there a local share for the cost of some of that?
We have additional costs related to mobile crisis response, but we are also getting some grant dollars for that.
How many folks, how many of the call specialists do you have that are taking those calls?
We have 8 full-time and 5 part-time and a supervisor.
5 part-time, 8 full-time. About 10.5 FTE, something like that.
Yep.
I guess I'd be interested to know, can we find out how many calls we've been receiving through that? I support 988. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think I sent you a note last week that indicated
Okay.
that we've answered over 10,000 calls since it initiated in July 2022.
Okay.
We average a few hundred every month. It's not the bulk of our crisis calls. The bulk of our crisis calls are still coming in through the local number. This accounts for about 8% of our crisis calls.
So this 10.5 FTEs, do they deal with the other
Yes, they do.
calls as well?
Yes.
Are those coming through 911?
No, they come in through our local number, our 660.
We have a couple of call takers, I guess, at emergency communications that do
Yes.
crisis. Is that changing this year? We have, is it 2 we have there?
We have 2 full-time.
Not unless Joan is going to place more staff there, but I have no knowledge of the number changing there.
That
Yeah.
has nothing to do with this at all.
No.
I may have some other questions on that another day, but thank you so much.
Commissioner Howell, I will go say that we have one of the embedded 911 workers is included in another grant, but it's not this one.
On the fire agenda, they have 3 items and Chief is in the back of the room if there's questions. One was a charitable donation. I might have Chief or Rusty talk about item B. That's the deed correction land ownership on the space down south. Rusty, you want to talk through that real quick?
A and B are connected. Chief, you want to talk about it? You want me to? I'll come up and talk about it.
Yeah, Chief, we'd love to hear from you.
You drove all the way down.
Came all the way down from Park City. We'd love to hear from you. Morning, Chief.
Good morning, Doug Williams, Fire Chief. When we did the original charitable donation on this land, there was a mistake made on the survey, and they actually included Casey Land Holdings driveway in the donation. And now if we don't give them their driveway back, he'll have to build a very expensive bridge over a little creek. And so while he's donating us more property at the current time, he also asked that we would give his driveway back to him. And so in essence, that's what we're doing here, is giving his driveway back to him.
Well, I think that sounds reasonable, don't you think, Rusty?
Yeah, the item A is a northern piece of property that is contiguous with the fire district's station property, and it's about 2 acres approximately. The original donation was a southern portion of that that also abuts to the fire district property, and it was about 2 acres. And it had this easement at the very south end of it that was an error. So item B has a deed correction to take that strip off.
Okay.
And item A is a deed that for the land that was donated to the north.
Got
So
it.
collectively, it's 2 pieces of land that total just right around 4 acres.
4 acres total. Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's helpful. Glad we get that fixed up.
Yeah.
Sure he wants his driveway back. Okay, what about C?
Sorry, C is the grant policy, same grant policy that's on general agenda. So questions
Thank
from
you.
Michelle. Thanks, Doug.
Michelle, we'll reach out if we have any questions. Is that it, Tom?
Yep.
Okay, back to the original agenda. No executive session. We do have executive session. There is an executive session. Okay.
And it's a fairly lengthy session, but does anybody have a hard stop on Wednesday next of? We're looking at probably up to an hour potentially there.
Okay. Any hard stops on Wednesday that we need to be concerned of? I do not, so.
Just so everybody knows, I'll be out of town, so I will be on Zoom for the meeting and then dial in maybe separately for the executive session.
We'll start meeting at regular time then.
Yeah, great. Anything else?
I was just gonna ask, if you want us to do some budget discussion, want us to reserve those for staff or BOCC meetings, or what's your preference? We have discussions about the budget adjustments.
Staff there's always open mic after staff meeting discussion, so I'm good either way. And we have a slot for NBOCC, however you prefer to do it, as long as staff is aware and we can talk about it publicly. I think we're good.
Yeah, I would be too, either way, staff meeting or the BOCC meeting. Both are public meetings, I think. You're good. I think I'd be good too. Pete, you agree? Okay. Yeah.
I'll see if I can bring a few things forward next time we get together.
Great. Okay. Great. Okay, anything else? Commissioner Blubaugh, anybody else? I think we're good, Tom.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay, have a good day.